Jahmal, hey, thanks for hopping on. And once again, congratulations for being on Spring Baking Championship.
Thank you. Thank you.
So why did you want to do, a competition reality show like Spring Baking Championship in the first place for yourself?
Honestly, I think I've been someone that always has really enjoyed challenges. And I definitely think, over the past year, every because of the pandemic, obviously everyone has like had time to think and just sort of been like, what do I want? What am I looking for? So I definitely think I was ready for something different. And, since I enjoy challenges, I was like, this opportunity came up. So I was like, I think this would be a good idea.
Well, tell us more about yourself, your background. How did your journey went from where you came from to something like this?
With regards to baking, like I've always loved it, since I was a kid, since age 6, I was always like in the kitchen, like mixing up different stuff. And I think I was a little bit of a show off. So I really just sort of like, the attention you got from like making something and like being creative. And I don't know, I just, taking that love of baking, I always knew I wanted to do it. So I went to culinary school when I started university. And then I guess from there, I just kind of like took off, I worked for like Disney, I worked for a few like resorts, a few small restaurants. And I ultimately like ended up in New York, because it's like big food scene. So I really wanted to just like completely immerse myself, get that industry experience. And I think New York is kind of where I really just like blossomed and like kind of fell in love with everything baking and pastry has to offer.
Would you say you have some kind of specialty, or you're just basically an all around baking type of guy?
I'm kind of all around, but recently, as I've been home a lot and like been doing a lot more like, kind of like recipe development, I've really been getting into like vegan and sort of like allergy aversion sort of desserts, because you really sort of have to like take all of your knowledge that about baking, like the fundamentals, and like throw it out the window and sort of like completely start from something like new. So I've been working on that a lot recently.
Did you even attempt some kind of vegan thing on the show, or was this afterwards?
Oh no, the show is way too crazy for me to be able to attempt any kind of like, vegan or like, allergy sort of things. I kept it, you know, sort of regular on the show. Yeah.
So tell us about your overall experience when you got on the show. Tell us about that. I want to say you probably was most excited on the very, very first day that you came on set.
Oh my God. I think excited is one word. Nervous was definitely the second word. It was a fun experience because for me, I sort of thrive on that like nervous energy. You know what I mean? Like adrenaline, it kind of gets you going. And I can like really sometimes like harness that to like sort of like motivate me. But like as soon as I got there, I was excited. Like meeting all the competitors, like, you see everyone, you like think you might be able to like size them up, before you even start cooking. But it was from day one, it was a very like unique experience, like for sure, 100%.
What was the hardest part for you every time you get into a competition? Was it basically trying to be creative, trying to come up with something unique? Was it the planning process, or was it the baking itself?
I think the good and the bad thing about these competition shows is that, it's kind of like what you're doing in the moment. Like you might have a plan in your head, or you might have a vision of, oh, I'm gonna do this, 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 this. And the real fun or like the real chaos comes from when you see how it's not going how you want. This oven is different than you think, like, So I don't know. I think for me, wait, sorry, say the question one more time. Sorry.
I was basically trying to say, because there's different phases into this competition.
Right.
There's always, the planning, There's always
Mhm.
trying to come up with a good idea, the creativity, and then there's the baking part. Which was the most
Yeah.
difficult for you?
Um, I think the most difficult was the planning because at the end of the day, you can plan all you want, but then like life happens, or like the actual sort of confines and different variables of the competition really come into play. So I think the hardest is planning. Um, yeah, I think the hardest is definitely planning for me. Yeah.
What I love watching these shows, and the reason why is because I like watching the clock count down. What's the secret to managing the clock? And is there really that much pressure? Because it seems like it's a lot of time. And in reality, you guys act like there isn't a lot of time.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think regardless of how much time there is, there's always like that desire for more because when it gets down to it, like um it gets so chaotic. Um I think that I was definitely like kind of scrambling a little bit at pretty much every point. But no, it was definitely down to the wire a lot of the times. Yeah.
A show like this really pushes, your anxiety up and so on. Was there at any point you wanted to just like throw up your arms and just give up?
Um No, just because I don't like, losing and I don't like, giving up. I'm like very like to the last minute, to the last second, you do every single thing you can. Um, there were definitely frustrating moments where I was like, oh, maybe this person had this ingredient I needed, or, just like someone was in the oven and I need to go in the oven, or like, just sort of like those sort of variables that you can never plan for, but as things are going on, they occur. So I think, yeah, that was definitely that part for me.
How do you handle certain ridiculous challenges or curveballs that this show actually throws to you?
Okay, so I think that's a very good question. First of all, because that's the whole entire show. Um, I think that the best way you can think about it is sort of like whatever challenge you're doing, you get to be creative. And true creativity does not come from, having carte blanche to just sort of do whatever you want. You have to have confines, you have to have parameters. And ultimately, that allows you to be creative, to work within those confines, to work within the box. So I think for me, I just took it as like a challenge. And I'm like, hey, this may be a silly theme, but how can I take what I do and make it fit inside that theme and deliver it to the judges something that looks good and tastes good at the same time.
For days and weeks, you've been competing against these other competitors. Did you develop any lifelong friendships out of this?
I think I did, honestly. For one, everyone was super talented. So like it was really interesting to see sort of like, what this person came up with, what this person came up with, because it was very different. But yeah, I think one person in particular would definitely be Shantae. She was next to me quite frequently in some of the challenges. And like we developed like a good like bond, I think throughout the show. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you think that this show actually changed you overall as a better person?
Yeah, 100%. I think I learned my capabilities and what I can actually do in like a certain amount of time and like within certain confines. And also how I can like challenge myself and grow. I definitely think that some of the challenges were like ridiculously out of the box. And I was able to really like do some things that I was proud of. And some things I wasn't. But I think it was definitely a really good test and a good challenge for myself. 100%.
That is awesome, Jamal. And before I let you go, once this pandemic is over, what are you hoping to do after all this?
Wow. Once this is all over. So kind of like how I mentioned before, I actually started making a lot of vegan and like sort of nut-free things. Specifically, I make these vegan and nut-free macarons, which is something that kind of like it doesn't really exist. So I think after the pandemic, I'm really looking into continuing to sell them, which I already am, but I really want to make sure like more people know about it because if someone has a nut allergy or they're vegan, they typically can't have macarons. So I think this is definitely something that I want to share with people, and I really want to get the word out about that. Like, hey, like, is there something that are for you now that you can have? So yeah.
You know what? That's an excellent goal. I hope this is all over and can't wait to try your nut-free macarons here.
Yeah, same. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you for speaking with us. I know I can't ask where you placed, but you know what? I'm really excited. I'm addicted to those shows, so I can't wait to actually watch this.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see myself on TV. It's going to be crazy. I'm probably going to squirm a little bit.
Probably.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next time.
All right. Thank you, Gig.
Thank you. Bye now.